You know, guys, since I was not trusting about 95% of the things on Twitter today, I just grabbed some popcorn and went to read all the threads about the SEC versus Ripple, basically all the conspiracies, all the thoughts, all the extras, because I think it's pretty damn funny to just kind of look around, it's pretty crazy everything. And some people have said in the comments that things are like exploding out of proportion where it's really not that bad, but honestly, I think this lawsuit makes absolutely no sense. And I believe Ripple is finally starting to admit that too, and is already acting with the end result being positive in mind. I mean, for example, we have already explained now that they are on a massive expansion spree, but they're also on a specific XRP forefront, really expanding heavily on the on-demand liquidity, which is rather interesting. If you think you're being sued and XRP might become a security, you probably wouldn't do that. Now, he said just now, Bitcoin is an exceptional store of value, is just not ideal as a payments mechanism because of proof of work, energy costs, and CO2 emissions. Estimates show a weighted average carbon intensity of 480 to 500 G CO2 EQ per kilowatt hour. It's great to see more and more individual players taking action to address climate change / use renewable for mining. But we need consensus, no pun intended, across the entire industry to make all cryptos 100% renewable. So I kind of feel as if this is his, San Francisco approach to things, because he definitely seems to put a lot of pressure on the ecological side of things, if that's the right way to put it. Stewart also says, and all this is happening while the revolving door of Clayton's SEC spins at a at a dizzying rate. That is talking about this. I'll reserve judgment on the merits of the library case till I know the facts, but one fact is absolutely clear. Regulatory uncertainty, deliberately created and maintained by Clayton's SEC, continues to be weaponized against the industry. Who is next? He has a very freaking good point. Who is next? Why did Jay Clayton go this route? Why did he do it? What does he want to get out of it all? Why not go after them earlier once they're being made and stuff like that? And who's eventually going to change it? Is Gary Gensler, gonna really fix everything, or what? Well, Brett Garlinghouse has said, Ripple CEO Brett Garlinghouse slams SEC hopeful for new administration. And here, Ripple CEO waiting for Gary Gensler confirmation to have conversation with the SEC. So, specifically, when asked whether there was a prospect of settlement during the recent Bloomberg interview, CEO Brett Garlinghouse said that he hoped to revisit such conversations with the new administration. Quote, I'm hopeful that as a new administration comes into the SEC, there's an opportunity to revisit some of these conversations. There's an opportunity to have a conversation with new leadership as he brings his team in, and what can be done for Ripple and really for the whole crypto industry. And also, Ripple is prepared to fight vigorously in this lawsuit. I also like the choice of words there. And of course, ending it off with Bitcoin's efficiency problem, costing too much freaking electricity. I think it's very clear that Bitcoin is solving a real problem for people who want to get exposure to this asset class. Yet, he once again sounded the alarm over the environmental impact of Bitcoin, echoing Microsoft co-founder Bill Gates. One Bitcoin transaction is equivalent to about 75 gallons of gasoline being burned. He adds that XRP is about 100 times more efficient than Bitcoin, which isn't 100 times, but 100,000 times, like also posted here. So, XP Crypto said Ripple CEO Brett Garlinghouse is waiting for Gary Gensler's confirmation to have conversations with the SEC. Brett Garlinghouse, one Bitcoin transaction equals 75 gallons. And he replied, said, I'm pretty sure I said, and I hope I more accurately said, it's more than 100,000 times more efficient. Even better. There we go. Now, a little side note, guys, by the way. I've been giving away these Prime XBT codes for $100. I had 10 of them, right? $1,000 each. And some of you guys are saying, you're giving it away, but to who? So here's a couple examples. T-Sean, you most likely just saw it in the comment section, but he won $100. He was pretty happy with it. I didn't know how it worked. He was the first one to really give me some feedback on it, but he said it was pretty nice. Armin, he has not replied just quite yet, so we'll see from that one in just a second. Georgie did one as well. He says it works nicely, so that is pretty cool. Jock also says it works. Let's quickly see. We had a little convo. He says, thanks, dude. Works, or something like that. Perfect. And the last one, he made an account too late, so he's not eligible anymore. Because you have to make an account under me, all right? If you just make an account on Prime XBT, I can't see you in the overview. You cannot win the giveaway. It was if you made an account under me, I could give you $100 in trading credit. All right, so yeah, too bad. I still have a couple more codes to go, but I've already picked a couple of the people, and I'm just asking for their Twitter. And if there's more than 5 who reply, then I'll have to pick some straws because I have 5 codes left, $500 worth. Now, John Dean said, an SEC enforcement threat versus Ripple, the most important decision a prosecutor makes is at the very beginning when he decides who to charge and what to charge. Mr. Fresh Time showed us the video of Clayton favoring going after the individual executives and not just the company. He says here, Jay Clayton bragging about his power to include accusations against individuals in enforcement actions, usually only in fraud cases. Instead, he used it to prop up a frivolous lawsuit and enforcement action in final day before resigning, which he knowingly would harm innocent retail. He says, it is called a bullying tactic. When I was on the chain recently and weeks ago, I said charging Brad Goliath to Chris Larson would prove to be a mistake. If the SEC had only sued Ripple, then it would be a strict liability case, and the SEC would need to prove is that XRP was a security when Ripple sold it, no need to prove any level of intent or state of mind. But by alleging that Brett Garlinghouse and Chris Larson aided and abetted Ripple in selling unregistered securities, the SEC must prove that they knew or recklessly disregarded that Ripple's sales of XRP required registration. Both me and Attorney Jeremy have stated that because of this higher burden on the SEC, it improves the likelihood that the judge might order the SEC to turn over evidence related to Bitcoin and Ethereum. The question of whether Brad or Chris knew or were reckless is a question for the jury, not the judge. Let's quickly see what this one is. Thanks for replying on Monday, John Dean. Unclear whether XRP is a security or commodity by CFTC chairman. I almost threw I almost launched my phone. So my phone is in the charger, right? And it was stuck between my leg and the little table. So when I tried to zoof my hand up, the phone propelled a little bit, but luckily the cord was still attached to it. Otherwise, boom. Or I guess not lucky the cord was attached because I flicked the cord and that's why the phone went up, but whatever. So yeah. If if the phone broke, you guys would probably hear me cry a little bit because those things are expensive as can be nowadays. This is actually a different thread I'm seeing now. New different discussion, but let's quickly read this one as well because it's in the middle, I guess. John Dean said, XRP holders, if anyone has a response from the SEC, please let me know and please email it to me. If anyone has the SEC response in October 2020 stating it hadn't determined XRP as a security or may never do so, please forward it to me as well. Jackie said, this falls into the box for me as well. CFTC asked about XRP as a security, and Tarbert says, it's unclear, stay tuned. We are working closely with the SEC to figure out what falls into what box. If they were figuring it out around the time, it shows they didn't know as well. When was the video? Month and year, if you know. Thanks for the replies from Monday, January 13, 2020. Here's the original video. It was an interview with Cheddar at January 13th. Really interesting, in my opinion. Really freaking interesting. But let's quickly continue on with the main thread, if we can. Reckless is a question of the jury, not the judge. Because the government has charged the 2 executives, then statements made by the CFTC chairman in January of 2020, see above, should be allowed into evidence. Also, the statements of Giancarlo MKTS, former CFTC chairman, chair of business, yada, 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 should come into evidence. Giancarlo has authored an article stating that XRP is not a security and is, in fact, a commodity. And for the wannabe legal experts out there, it's not hearsay because it's not being offered for the truth of the matter asserted that it's not a security, but it's being offered instead to show that Bragg and Chris relied on those statements in believing that XRP was not a security. Statements by the U.S. government's own experts in commodities, 2 former chairmen, might be persuasive to a jury or even a judge. Not only did former chairman Giancarlo, the guy helping the U.S. government with the digital dollar, say XRP was not a security, but less than a year before the SEC filed the case against Ripple, CFTC chairman Heath Tarbert said in January 2020 that it's not clear yet whether XRP is a security or a commodity. It is unclear. Stay tuned, I'd say, said Tarbert to news outlet Cheddar. But 11 months later, the SEC claims that Brad and Chris knew XRP was a security, while the CFTC and the SEC were still trying to figure it out between the 2 agencies. And why is Bitcoin and Ethereum so relevant? First, Hinman and Clayton said both were not securities in 2018. Second, in January 2020, Tarbert also said, "We've been very clear on Bitcoin. Bitcoin is a commodity. We haven't said anything about Ether until now. It is my view as chairman of the CFTC that Ether is a commodity." If the former CFTC chairman stated affirmatively that XRP is a commodity, and then the current CFTC chairman said officially Ethereum is a commodity, it's certainly reasonable to assume that XRP is not a security. Because Clayton and his crew were arrogant bureaucratic bullies that wanted to send a message or, for other personal reasons, chose to sue the two executives. The SEC completely overplayed and overcharged this case. Either there was fraud or there wasn't, and clearly there was no fraud, hence the SEC should have just alleged the case in the only way that they can prove the case, and that is over the sales in the early years. This case isn't fun for Ripple or the two executives, and it's definitely not fun for the hostages in this case, XRP holders. But I will admit, as a trial lawyer, it would be fun to try this case against the SEC, and I'm just going to watch it with my freaking popcorn in my hands, because, man, I'm not suing nobody. I'm just watching. I think the majority of you guys are too. Just watching this unfold, seeing what's happening, as that's mostly the best option to go for anyway. If you're not, a legal expert or anything like that, or you don't want to share your personal involvement or experiences because you don't know what the consequences are, right? In this case, we're just watching really closely, though. John Dean also says here, if anyone has a response, we just said that one already, right? Response forums on XRP chat. Okay. This one we just talked about. This one, that's all basically the same thing. Ripple CEO says company will continue to fight against the lawsuit. Guanghao slammed the US SEC for lagging behind in regulatory clarity. He is hopeful that the new SEC administration will become more receptive, which I'm hoping to. And still, guys, I do think the Ripple effect and the Ripple test are things that are going to be more common now. Ripple effect, in my case, being how multiple cryptos are going to be having to fight for their regulation properly, probably. And the second part is the way that other cases will be treated. I think most of them will actually have Ripple's case as a reference point from now on forward, and thus the Ripple case is really not as strange as some people made it out to be. It most likely will not be as popular as a Howey test because securities are way more often regulated, I guess, than cryptos are as of this point. But maybe eventually, when crypto just keeps getting regulated, it's just going to really become such a household name. Whatever was said in the Ripple case, and in the end, it will turn into the Ripple test. I still think it is very much possible. As you may know and may recall, Jay Clayton, as the chair of the SEC, the day before I left office, brought this lawsuit against Ripple and against me personally. We don't think that made a lot of sense given that XRP had been trading for 8 years, and so to do that today before he leaves in his position, I think was misguided. And in the end, guys, I think he will be proven wrong. Are there any jokes in the midst here? I hope not. I hope that we didn't read a fake story. But if we did, let me know in the comment section down below. Even this one, we talked about a little bit earlier, is not fake. It's all real stuff. But yeah, that was it for today. Hopefully you all enjoyed it. If you did, make sure you press the like button and subscribe. I'll see you guys again in another crypto video.